I know I say I'm excited for every video, but I am especially excited for today's video because I am doing the Red album by Taylor Swift as book recommendations. So, I think that Red is the perfect fall album. It's the end of September, we're going into October, so I thought it was appropriate that I chose not only my favorite Taylor Swift album, but also the one that encapsulates fall and autumn in the best way, in my opinion, and do book recommendations out of it. So I'm making this 2 videos because I'm doing Red Taylor's version, and that has like 30 songs, so I'm gonna split it up. So if you guys like this video, please let me know so I know to make a part 2 to it. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into the video. So I'm gonna start out with State of Grace by Taylor Swift, and so I correlated it to Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. And State of Grace is essentially about when two people are like first falling in love and like what that relationship could be like. State of Grace is also like one of my favorite songs ever by her, so I'm really excited about that. A lyric that I found, it goes, "So you were never a saint and I loved in shades of wrong." So basically the 2 main characters of this book are learning about being in relationships for the first time. The main character was fake dating the other main character's brother, so it wasn't like a real relationship. And now the 2 of them are coming together and trying to figure out what their relationship would look like, and just try to like figure out what it looks like for them in the future, and both learning how to be in a real relationship and like what the possibilities are within that. That's why I chose it. After State of Grace is Red by Taylor Swift, and so I chose Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score as that book for a couple of reasons. So one main lyric of the song Red is "Loving him was red," and I kind of correlated that to like enemies to lovers, and that's what Things We Never Got Over about. It's about Naomi and Knox, and at first it started out with them not liking each other, and they were kind of in this on-again, off-again relationship for a lot of the book, and I think that correlated with the song Red because it goes like, "Losing him was blue, like I've never known, missing him was dark gray all alone." So they like miss each other and then they lose each other because they like get back together and then break up, and it's kind of this tumultuous relationship throughout basically the entire book, and that is why I chose Red, because Loving Him was red. Knox is a very like grumpy guy, and so her kind of coming to terms with that and kind of figuring that out. And after Red is Treacherous by Taylor Swift, also another one of my favorite songs. Literally every single song on this album is like one of my favorite songs because I love it so much. But for Treacherous, I chose Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, so this is another one of her books in the Knockmount series. And I chose this book because Sloane and Lucian's relationship is very up and down and kind of like treacherous. So this kind of like correlates with Red of like they're enemies to lovers, the relationship is pretty rocky. This slope is treacherous, this path is reckless. Because it's reckless, because it's an on-again, off-again relationship. And then it goes, but I like it. And they have been in this like on-again, off-again relationship for like 15 years of like hating each other, but also like there's something there between them. And it goes, I will get you and get you alone. And in the midst of all of their like struggles and hurt, like they still find each other, and they've found each other throughout like the past 15 years of their relationship, of meeting up as childhood friends and then going through like a lot of hard situations, but like still finding each other. So yeah, that's why I chose Things We Left Behind for Treacherous. I Knew You Were Trouble. So for that song, I chose Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. So this book follows 2 people. The main girl character is a doctor. She has been a doctor for several years, kind of has her life planned out for her. And then she meets this guy who is younger than her and essentially just like turns her life upside down. And so that's why I chose I Knew You Were Trouble. And the song goes like, "I knew you were trouble when you walked in." And they first met at a bar. He like walked in the room and they both like met each other and were like, okay, like it's not going to be the same anymore. He's trouble for her life because he's interrupting like her plans as a doctor of becoming, I think, like the chief of surgery or something. And her parents don't like him and things like that. So he was like a lot of trouble in her life. Flew me to places I've never been. She's never had like a fun, low commitment relationship before, and he, like I said before, just like turns her life upside down and like introduces her to like fun in a relationship and being like carefree and things like that. So I think it was like the perfect to pair with it. Okay, and then after that is 22, and I chose Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I think it's like the perfect correlation because 22 is all about like not knowing what you're doing in your life. It's like a really fun, carefree song. Happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. This perfectly ties into Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating because the two main characters are like young and you're in their 20s and kind of just figuring life out. They try to set each other up on dates, so just meeting new people, getting out there. They're both confused in like their careers, their dating life, a lot of things like that, and they're kind of just figuring it out. So that's like what 22 is about. Fun, lighthearted, you're young, you're in your 20s, and it's a really quick read. I think it's like 250 pages. Yeah, and it's a really fun book, really quick. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren for that song. After that is I Almost Do, and I was having a little bit of trouble with this song and like what book to pair it with, but I chose Dear Aaron by Mariana Zapata. So the book is about these two main characters, Ruby and Aaron is part of the military, and they meet over like an online site where like people can write letters to military people. So Ruby starts writing letters to him. They start talking and they like start with a friendship, and then after that like get a little bit closer, and they really want to like meet each other. They really want to meet each other and stuff, but they're both too scared. And lyrics go, I just want to tell you, it takes everything in me not to call you, and I wish I could run to you, and I hope you know that every time I don't, I almost do. So they both want to meet each other in person, but they're like too scared, and like circumstances are pulling them away from each other just because he's in the military. And they never have talked on the phone. They never even seen each other, but they start to like fall in love. Yeah, so she wants to like know him, meet him and stuff, but they're both like too scared. Really have like the circumstances to do so. So yeah, that's why I chose Dear Aaron. Okay, this is a really fun one. So after that is We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, and I chose You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle, I think is her name. So this book is about an engaged couple who split up, but they don't want to call off the wedding because one of them has to pay the non-refundable wedding bill, and they're just bickering the whole time. And they've like, you know, when you get engaged, you don't expect to break up, but this couple does. And they're just like, we're never getting back together. Like, I don't see how we can reconcile this. Like, they don't like each other, but they're still living together. None of them wants to call off the wedding, things like that. And I think that we were forever ever, and I used to say never. They thought they were going to be forever, but they eventually broke up. And so this book follows that. You know, eventually they get back in love, but for the majority of the book, they hate each other. They don't think they're going to get back together. Or I chose that book for that. And then this is another really fun one. So for Stay, 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 which comes after We Are Never Getting Back Together. So for Stay, 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 I chose The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. Actually, Stay, Stay, Stay was my surprise song when I like went to her concert. I'm wearing my little Taylor Swift merch right now. But it was my surprise song when I went, and I chose Wall of Winnipeg and Me because in the song, she has a reference of like, you came in wearing a football helmet, and the book is about an NFL player. Like one small reference, but I like took it and ran with it because I think that it is so cute. So it's about this Aiden and Vanessa, and Aiden is a professional football player, and they have a marriage of convenience trope. And he marries Vanessa to stay in the United States. Aiden is essentially like communicates his love non-verbally, so through like actions and like caring for her and things like that. And it correlates with the lyrics, but you carried my groceries and I'm always laughing, and I love you because you have given me no choice but to stay. And like he does really like cute small things for her and shows his love that way by like carrying her groceries and like helping her with her work and things like that. Or a marriage of convenience at first, so they don't really like are in love with each other, but eventually like spending all of this time they do. And as the book goes, he has to like leave for a trip, and she's like, no, like I want you to stay because I like am in love with you, and really cute things like that. So that's why I chose The Wall of Winnipeg and Me for Stay, Stay, Stay. And then after that is Holy Ground. I chose Book Lovers for this, and I did it for a couple of reasons. Book Lovers is about these two main characters, and they're both literary agents in New York, and they both end up in a small town in like North or South Carolina. They don't really like each other at first, but then they get to know each other more and become friends and then lovers. It correlates to the lyrics like back at first glance, feeling on New York time. So they met each other first in New York because that's where they both live and work. Took off faster than a green light go. Yeah, you skip the conversation when you already know. I left a note on the door with the joke we made, and that was the first day. And they just get to know each other more and more in this like small town setting without like anybody looking in on them. It starts off slow but then escalates really fast, and this like scares the female main character Nora. Spinning like a girl in my brand new dress, we had this big wide city all to ourselves. Once they're like start to get to know each other, it's like really good, and they both like really like each other. Yeah, that's why I chose Book Lovers for Holy Ground. And after that is Sad, Beautiful, Tragic, and I chose Me Before You for this song for a couple of reasons. So Me Before You is about this girl and guy. The guy is like paralyzed. He was in this really bad accident stuff, and she goes to take care of him, and they end up like really liking each other, but they just can't be together because of like circumstances of like he's paralyzed from I think like the neck down or something, and can't really take care of himself, and he doesn't want her to be with him because he's like, you're always gonna have to take care of me. Had a beautiful magic love affair. What a sad, beautiful, tragic love affair. And they were together for a really short period of time, but like while they were together it was super good, and they both really like fell in love with each other, but they just couldn't be together and ended up breaking up. He doesn't want to like fall in love with her because he knows like, or he thinks he's a very big burden and doesn't want her to like care for him for the rest of their life, even though she really likes him. And yeah, and after that is The Lucky One. So I chose The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for this song. I'm like, do I even have to explain it? I feel like it speaks for itself. But The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid is about this really famous actress in like the 1950s or 60s of Hollywood, and she becomes like the biggest actress of their time. She has 7 husbands, so media is always commenting about her relationships, her marriages, her friendships. The song is about like the unlucky journey of becoming famous, how everybody thinks they want to be famous and in Hollywood, until once they're actually there and they realize that it's not all like beauty and glitz and glamour. It's like a lot of hard stuff, and just like you think that you're the lucky one, but then you find out that you're not, and that you are like, Hollywood is just not a good environment for people. And then the lyrics go, and your secrets end up splashed on the news front page. Can you tell me that you're the lucky one? Of her relationships, essentially like her whole private life, ends up on all of these magazine, newspaper pages because they're just so invested in her and like why she's had 7 husbands. Thinks she wants to get famous but doesn't. That's like exactly what the song The Lucky One is about, and kind of just learning your lesson there. And after that is Everything Has Changed, another one of my favorite songs by her. And I chose Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I feel like it just is perfect. So Love in Other Words is a childhood friends to lovers story about these 2 characters who have known each other since I think they were like 10 or 11, and they're with each other every summer. Essentially like an incident happens and they're torn away from each other until they meet up, I think like 8 or 9 years later. Lyrics go, all I know is you held the door, you'll be mine and I'll be yours. All I know since yesterday is everything has changed. When they were young and together, it was like so pure and so good, and they didn't really have to worry about anything until like that big incident happened, and everything has essentially changed for them. Their relationships had changed, they started new lives without each other, but then they're eventually brought back together, and it's a duet with Ed Sheeran. And the music video for this song too is super cute. It's like literally about 2 childhood friends who like start to like each other and stuff. So it's really cute in that way, and I think it just fits perfectly with the whole book, with the whole like book's vibe. It's a very like cozy read. I think it takes place like during like the summer or the fall, so it's a really like cute, cozy read. Friends to lovers. This book is all over like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, super talked up about. But I just think like the plot and the characters perfectly relate to the song. I have 2 more songs left for this video, and the next one is Starlight. So I chose Daisy Jones and the Six for this one. I also think that it is pretty self-explanatory, but the book is essentially just about this band in the 70s, and they get super famous, and it follows Daisy, who is the lead singer of this band, and her relationship with the other band members, but especially Billy, who is the other like really big like frontman of the band. And the song Starlight goes, "Don't you dream impossible things. You spend your whole life singing the blues if you keep thinking that way." And when she says like don't you dream impossible things, like Daisy just wanted to sing her songs, and like the band wanted to be like the biggest band in the whole world, and they ended up doing it. Like they dreamt impossible things, and it ended up becoming true for them. And so they were very fortunate with that. And if you'll spend your whole life singing the blues if you keep thinking that way. That is just essentially like, she struggles a lot with like drugs and alcohol and her relationships with others, and it's a very rocky road for her. And she sings like a lot of sad songs with that, a lot of angry songs. She just needs to like stay positive, or else she'll spend her whole life singing like those sad songs, singing the blues. If she keeps thinking that like everyone is out to get her, that like Billy and the rest of the band members don't like her, her friends. And then so the last song that I will be doing for this video is Begin Again, and I chose Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover for this book. And it's just such like a really cute, wholesome song, and I think it relates perfectly to this book. So essentially, Reminders of Him follows this girl who spent, I think, like 5 years in jail or something. There was this huge incident with her ex-boyfriend, and she ends up spending some time in jail over it. That she gets released, and she essentially has to like start over in life. And Begin Again is about starting over in like new relationships, about being treated a lot better than you were in your past relationship. Pull out my chair and help me in, and you don't know how nice that is. So the other main character, Ledger, treats Kenna better than like anyone has ever treated her. She gets out of prison, she's treated pretty poorly by the people in her town and stuff, and he just allows her to begin again, allows her to start over in life, start over in like her relationships with others. They start having a romance, and she like thinks that love has been really hard on her because everything that happened with like her ex-boyfriend, spending time in jail, everything like that, and spending the last 8 months thinking all love ever does is break and burn and end. But on a Wednesday in a cafe, I watched it begin again. I said before, it just ties into her like not feeling very loved, cared for, being treated really poorly, but then Ledger comes along and like helps her again, and like helps her begin again with her life, with their love, and like treating her super well. Those are all of the books that I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, I did skip All Too Well in this, but I'm gonna do the 10-minute version, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, let me know if you want me to do a part 2 of this video. Taylor Swift and books are like my 2 loves in life, so I'm super happy to do this video. Yeah, and I just had a lot of fun like researching the songs and the books I was gonna do with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!